Good day, students. Welcome to the ELM placement test review. I'm going to be going over questions 1 to 10 on the practice document. There are about 110 questions. If you want to get access to this document, all you have to do is basically go to www.csumathsuccess.org/exam_prep, and then you look for the free ELM questions. So let me do a demo for you real quick. So you can just go to the address bar www.csumathsuccess.org/exam_prep. Enter. That gives you the site, and if you go to the printed ELM sample problems, that will give you access to the document that I'm working on right now. Okay. It tells you a lot about the exams, and then it gives you a whole bunch of practice problems. So I'm going to be going over questions 1 to 10 in part 1, and then I'll be covering other questions in subsequent parts, okay? So do subscribe to my videos so you can get updated info as to when I've added the other parts. Alright, so let's start with question number 1. It says that the theater has 25 rows, each with 12 seats. At a certain performance, there were, on average, 3 empty seats per row. What was the attendance at that performance? So, let's say that the theater looks something like this. I'm gonna draw a rectangle. Looks something like this. 25 rows in 12. Wrong shape. Get a rectangle here. This is a rectangle. So it looks something like this. So we have 25 rows. This is the rows going down, side 25 rows, and we have 12 seats in each row. Okay, 12 seats in each row going side to side like this. Okay, so you have the seats like this, and you have the rows going across. All right. So basically, the area covered by this 2 dimensions is basically the total number of seats. Okay, total number of seats. Alright, so basically if we want to calculate the total number of seats, this is number 1. Total number of seats is going to be total number of seats. It's simply going to be 12 multiplied by 25, right? 12 times 25. If we multiply 12 by 25, that will give us 300, so there are a total of 300 seats. Alright? But we have a situation here. You're told that on average, 3 empty seats per row. So if you get 3 empty seats per row, total empty seats is going to be 3 multiplied by the total number of rows you have. How many rows do you have? 25. So 3 times 25 will give you the total number of empty seats because you have 3 missing for every row. Okay, so 3 times 25 is 75. So your total number in attendance, total attendance is simply going to be the difference. Okay, total attendance is 300 minus 75, which is 225. So there goes your total number in attendance. So answer to number 1 is A. Okay. All right. Let's move on to number 2. It says there are 45 people coming to a picnic, of which hot dogs will be served. Hot dogs come in packages of 8 that cost $2.50 each, and hot dog rolls come in packages of 10 that cost $2 each. If enough hot dogs rolls will be purchased so that each person can have at least 1 hot dog in a row, what is the minimum that can be spent on hot dogs and hot dog rolls? Okay, so we have a number 2. We have the total. We have a total of 45 people. Okay, so we need to make sure that at least everybody has at least 1 hot dog and 1 hot dog roll. So let's deal with the hot dogs first. Okay, so hot dogs. So for hot dogs, we know that the hot dogs comes in packages of 8, packs of 8. Okay? So since the hot dog comes in packs of 8, how many packs of 8 are sufficient for 45 people? So basically your 8 times table, right? 8 times 1, 8 times 2, all the way to exceed 45. So 8 times 4 is 32, 8 times 5 is 40, no, too small, 8 times 6. So we need at least 6. We need 6 packs of 8 to meet 45 people, because we know that 8 times 6 is basically 48, and that is more than enough. Okay, if we did 8 times 5, that will be 40. That's not enough, so we don't need 8 times 5. We're gonna need 6. Okay, so in order for this to work, we need 6 packs of 8 hot dogs. And how about the hot dog rolls? Let me call them dog rolls. Dog rolls. No, let me call hot dog rolls. Okay. So hot dog rolls. So this one, they come in packs of 10. So how many will be sufficient to cover 45 people? We're gonna need 5, right? 5 of the 10 packs. Why didn't I say any other number? Because this is the one that guarantees that everybody is going to have one. Okay, because if I did 4 times 10 is 40, too small. 5 times 10 is 50, that's sufficient. Okay, so how many of each am I going to have? So this is basically, this gives me 48 of this, and then this gives me 50 of this. All right, so I'm going to have, so that's enough, that's good enough. So what is the price going to be? What is the price for each one going to be? Since I know that each hot dog costs, this one costs, how much does this cost? This costs $2.50, and this one costs $2. How much is my total price going to be? So total, remember, total is going to be a quantity, each quantity times price. So it's going to be 6 times the price of 8, which is 250. 6 times 250. This is the price of the hot dogs, and then plus 5 of the 10 packs. Each 10 pack costs $2, so it's going to be 5 times $2. That's going to be my total price. So if I add it all up, I'm going to have 6 times 250 is $15. 15 plus 5 times 2 is $10, and then the total price is basically going to be $25. All right, so your answer here is C. Okay, all right, now let's move on to number 3. Number 3 says the sale price of Kathy's new coat was reduced by 30% from the original price of 80. What was the sale price of the briefcase? Okay, so number 3, if it's reduced by 30%, what is left? So if you reduce something by 30%, the full percentage is 100%. So if we reduce by 30%, what do we have left? It's 100 minus 30, which is 70%. Okay, so 70% of the original price will tell me what the sale price is. Okay, so the sale price is going to be 70% of the original price, which is $80. Okay, now what is 70% in mathematical form? 70% is 70 over 100, or 0.7. Okay, what is off? Off simply means multiply by the original, which is 80. Okay, so I multiply 0.7 by 80, that should give me the or sale price. Okay, so 0.7 times 80 is 560. But since we have one decimal place, we have to move the decimal place forward once. Uh-oh, maybe a little bit too long. 560. So we're going to move the decimal point forward one place because we have one decimal place right there. So the sale price is going to be $56. Okay? So you just multiply the reduced percentage by the price, and that will tell you what the sale price is. Okay? So the answer for this one is D. Alright, let's move on to question number 4. Question 4 It says the sale price of the photography book is 20% of the list price. If the sale price of the book is $10, what is the list price? So in this case, we're working backwards, right? How do we do this? 20% of the original price gave us $10. Sale price of $10. So we know that sale price is basically original price multiplied by the percent reduced. Okay. All right. So the percent remaining. Yeah, percent reduced or percent remaining. Percent remaining. Okay. So we've got to be careful here. All right. So basically, we can set up an algebraic equation to solve this problem. Okay. We're looking for. We know that sale price is what? What is the sale price? It's $10. It's 10. Let's just use 10. The sale price is 10. The original price, I don't know what the original price is. Let me just leave it at the original price. Original price multiplied by the percent remaining. Since it's 20% off, what do you have remaining? 100%. If I take 20% off, what do I have remaining? I have 80% remaining, right? 80% in math form is basically 0.8. Okay, so if I take the original price and multiply it by 0.8 by 0.8, that will give me $10. Okay? So the question is, what times 0.8 gives me 10? This is an algebraic equation we need to solve. So how do I get the original price by itself? I need to do the inverse of multiply, which is divide. So I simply divide both sides by 0.8. Divide this side by 0.8, divide that side by 0.8. That will give me the original price. Okay? So the original price is basically 10 divided by 0.8. How can I do this? I don't like this. I have a decimal here, so put a decimal there. Move this back once, and then I can move this back once. Insert a 0, so this is the same thing as 100 divided by 8. Now let's reduce this. 4 goes into 8 twice, and 4 goes into 125 times. So that gives us 25 divided by 2. What is 25 divided by 2? 25 divided by 2 is 12 and a half. In dollar terms, what's half a dollar? Half a dollar is 50 cents. So basically our answer is $12.50. Okay? So if you want to find the final sale price, you multiply the percent reduced remaining times the original. And if you want to find the original, you do the opposite of multiply, which is you divide by the percent that is reduced. Okay? So the answer here is 12.5, and the answer for number 4 is D. Okay? All right. Let's move on to question number 5. Scroll that up a little bit so you can see. It says the operating budget of Western Robotics Company was $300 million last year. If the operating budget this year is 12% less than last year, what is the remaining budget in dollars? Okay, so the remaining, just like the sale price, the remaining is basically, this is number 5. The remaining is basically the original multiplied by the percent remaining. Okay, same process as we did before. That's all we're gonna do. Okay, so what is the original amount? 300 million. 300 times the percent remaining. If you take 12% off, 12% less basically means you subtract, right? So 12% less than 100. So 100, I'm going to take 12 out of there, which leaves me with 88%. Okay, so we need the percent remaining, not the percent that's taken out. So percent remaining is 88%. So 88% of what I had before will give me the remaining amount. Okay, so before I can insert this into an equation, I have to put this in mathematical form. 88% is 0.88. Okay, so I'm going to go 300 times 0.88. Okay, so basically multiply these two numbers, and that will give me the amount of money remaining. All right, So let's go ahead and do that multiplication real quick. I'm going to do it, I don't like this erase. I'm going to do it vertically, since we're not allowed to use calculators for this. So I'm going to go 300 multiplied by 0.88. All right, let's be careful with our multiplication here. 8 times 0, 0, 8 times 0, 0, 8 times 3, 24. 8 times 0, 0. This is, we're now going to go to this place right here, the 10th place. Yeah, 8 times 0, 0, and 8 times 3, 24. Add it down. We're going to have 26400. Since we have two decimal points with this number right here, we must apply that here and go 1, 2. Bam, there goes the decimal. Your answer is going to be $264 is the amount of money you have left after taking 12% off. Alright, so our answer is B. Alright, let's move on to question number 6. Number 6, it says the pilots of an airline has signed a new 2-year contract for the first, a new 2-year contract. For the first year of the new contract, current salaries will be reduced by 25%. For the second year, these will be reduced. For second year, these reduced salaries will be further reduced by 10%. What percent of their current salaries will the pilots earn during the second year of a new contract? So we're going to have two reductions. Okay, two reductions are happening here to the original amount. So let's pick a fictitious amount. Let's say the salaries was $1. Okay, the salary was $1. So I want to reduce it by 25% and then reduce it by 10% and see what percentage I'm going to have of the original. Okay, so or basically we can make it. We can even call it X. We can even call it X. All right. So after year one reduction. Year one. We have 25% off. So the final amount, is going to basically be the original multiplied by percent remaining. Always multiply by percent remaining, okay? Alright, so the original was X, and the percent remaining is 25% off. Basically means you're going to go 100 minus 25. What percent you have remaining? You have 75%. In mathematical form, 75% is 0.75. So you're going to multiply the original amount by the decimal representation of the percent remaining, which is 0.75. So times 0.75. So it's going to become 0.75x. Okay, this basically means 75% less. All right. For year two, we have 10% off. So what's the final amount going to be? The final amount is going to be the same process, right? It's going to be the original times the percent remaining. Okay? So what is the original here? The original is the final from year one, right? Which is 0.75x. We're now going to multiply it by the percent remaining after 10% off. After 10% off, we're going to have 100 minus 10, which is basically 90%. And 90% in decimal form is 0.9. So I'm going to multiply this by 0.9. Okay, so 0.9 times 0.75x will give us the final amount. Alright? So what is 0.9 times 0.75? We can go do the math over here. 75 times 0.9. 9 times 5, 45, 5 carry 4. 9 times 7, 63, plus 4 is 67. We have 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3, so the decimal is going to go 1, 2, 3. Okay? So it's going to be 0.675x. Okay? So it's going to be 0.675 of the original amount. Alright? So what is 0.675 as a percentage? 0.675 as a percentage means you just move the decimal point, the opposite forward, backwards 2 places. 1, 2. Alright, so 0.675 in percentage form is 67.5 percent, what is multiply of x? What is x, the original amount? So the answer is basically 67.5% reduction. Okay, so 67.75% is a percent less, of what the original amount to get what you have after 2 years. All right, so the answer is basically C. All right, with that in mind, let's move along to question number 7. Question number 7 basically assesses your understanding of numbers in the number line. So we have a number in two numbers in two forms, one in decimal, one in fraction. So if we can put them in the same form, it will be easier for us to orient them on the number line. Okay, so let's make 3.74 is good. I know 3.74 is okay. How about 3/4 as a decimal? How do I change this into a decimal? I just need to divide this out, right? So what is 5 divided by 4? 5 does not go into 4, so I need to put a decimal point and add a 0. This decimal point gives me the right to add a 0. 5 goes into 48 times. So 3/4 is the same thing as 3.8. Okay? So let's place these numbers on the number line so we can see what numbers lie between where. Okay? So 3.74 is smaller, so put 3.74 here. Decimal point too high. 3.74. And then 3.8 over here, 3.8. Okay? Now, which of these numbers fall in between here? Let's look at this one first. B is 3.72. So we need the ones that are in between here, right? So 3.72 is over here. That's outside. So D is not an option. Let's look at C. 3.82. 3.82 is over here. Too big. C is not an option. E. What is 3.5? 3.5 is half a dollar, right? So what is it with half as a decimal? 50 cents. 3.5. 3.5 is way over here. No, doesn't work. How about 3? How about E? 3 3/4. 3 3/4. What is 3/4 in? If you have 3/4, how many cents do you have? You have 75 cents, right? So 3/4 is basically 0.75, right? Where is 0.75? Right here. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Okay? I didn't want to do this. I wanted to save it for last because it's longer to convert. It's a little bit more difficult to convert. So the answer is E because 3.75, which is 3 3/4, in mixed number form, is between these two numbers, and that's exactly what we wanted. All right? Okay, let's move on to question number 8. Similar to this. So it says, which of these numbers is listed from greatest to least? So remember, the more zeros after the decimal point, the smaller the number gets, okay? The smaller the number gets. Alright, we're looking at fractions here. Okay, so for example, we have we have 0.2. It's the same thing as 2/10. Okay? That's tenths. It's like you have 20 cents, right? What about 0.02? That's 2/100. This is just hundredths. This basically means that you have 2 cents. So which one is more? 20 cents or 2 cents? This is like 20 cents, and this is like 2 cents. And then it gets worse. With the more zeros, you're gonna start looking at basis points. Fraction of a hundredth. So this is 2/1000. So if you're going down this continuum, just know that you're getting smaller. All right, getting smaller. And then if you're going up, you're getting bigger. Okay. All right. So let's apply that here. So let's take a look at these numbers. 0.12 has no decimal point, so it's the biggest. Because we're starting from greatest to least. 0.12 has none, so it's the biggest one. Next, we have a tie. These two have 1 0 in them, so 0.018 and 0.04. So we need to look at the numbers and compare them since they are in the same place. They're both hundredths. Which is bigger? 4 is bigger, so that means that 0.04 is next, followed by 0.018, and then we're left with 0.004, because that has two zeros and it makes it the smallest. So the answer here is, let's see, the answer is B. Let me make sure. 012, 012, 004, 018, bam, the answer is B. Excellent. Okay, let's move on to question number 9. For question 9, it says, the figure below shows a cylindrical vessel that is exactly 1/4 full. If 7 liters of liquid are added, the vessel will be exactly 3/5 full. What is the total capacity of the vessel in liters? Okay, so we are working with a volume that we do not know here, the total capacity. So we need to use algebra here to make our life easier. So let's call total capacity, let's call it X, okay? Because we're dealing with fractions of the total capacity. It says the figure shows a right circular cylinder that is exactly 1/4 full, okay? So, alright, so, we're going to say the total capacity is X, so that's the entire volume. So that basically from here to here is basically X liters. This initial component right here, this initial amount is 1/4 full, okay? So what does that mean? It basically means that we have 1/4 of the whole amount, which is X, 1/4 of X. So it says if 7 liters were added, it becomes 3/5 full. So let's say when after adding 7 liters, it came up to this height right here. 7 liters was added on to it, so this is plus 7. After adding 7 liters, this whole thing became what compared to the original amount? To the total amount, it became 3/5 full. Okay, it became 3/5 of the total amount, which is X. Okay, so initially, let's say we have the total amount is X. We initially had 1/4 of the total amount, which is 1/4 X, is this piece right here. After adding 7 liters, this is the 7 liters, the new amount became 3/5 of the total amount, which is 3/5 X. So if I can solve this equation, then that will tell me what the total amount is. Okay, so what is it? So we have the original fraction, which is 1/4 full, plus 7 liters. Okay, so 1/4 plus the 7 liters that was added equals 3/5 of the total amount. Okay, so that gives us this algebraic equation. So let's try and solve this. Okay, so we're gonna put X on one side, and then that will be our answer. So since there's already an X here, why don't I just move 1/4 X to the right? So I subtract 1/4 X from both sides, 1/4 X and 1/4 X, and that's gonna give you 7 equals 3/5X minus 1/4X. Now to do this fraction, we need to find the LCD of 5 and 4. The LCD of 5 and 4 is 20, okay? So I need to make these both denominators 20. So I times this by 4 top and bottom, and I times this by 5 top and bottom, okay? So that gives me 7 equals 12/20X minus 5/20X, okay? When I combine these two, I'll have 7 equals 7/20X. You subtract the numerator and just keep the denominator. To get X by itself, you multiply by the reciprocal of 7/20, or divide by it, but multiplying by the reciprocal is much nicer to execute. So multiply by the reciprocal of 7/20. So 7 goes here 1, 7 goes here 1, 20 goes here 1, 20 goes here 1. You're left with X is 140/7. 140 divided by 7 is just 20, so X is basically 20 liters. So that is the the total amount we have in liters. Okay, 20. So the answer is B. All right, let's move on to the last problem, question number 10. Question 10, it says Marshall is making cornbread. His recipe calls for 3/2 cups of cornmeal, but he wants to make only half of the amount given in the recipe. How many cups of cornmeal should he use? So you just simply use half of 3 halves, right? So half of 3 halves, right? What is off in math? Off is simply multiply, right? So 1/2 times 3.5. Okay? So in order to multiply, I want to go numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. This has all kinds of things here. So this mixed number is hard to multiply by. So why don't I just change it to an improper fraction? So just multiply and add. So it's going to be 2 times 3, 6 plus 1, 7. 7 over 2 times 1 over 2. So this is much easier to multiply, okay? So 7 over 2 times 1/2. When you multiply it across, you're going to have 7 over 4. 7 over 4 in mixed number form is 1 whole number 3 divided 3 over 4. Okay, so your answer in this case is C. Alright, so that's that. Thanks for paying attention to this presentation. Do subscribe so you can get updates on when the next parts are coming up.